Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartiya and welcome to our 2022 prediction series. And we have with us today Ram Iyengar, developer advocate at Cloud Foundry Foundation. Ram, it's great to have you on the show again.
Thanks, Swapnil. Happy to be here today.
I will ask you to share your predictions, but before, just quickly tell our viewers what is Cloud Foundry Foundation, Cloud Foundry community all about?
So, Cloud Foundry is an open source PaaS. The Cloud Foundry Foundation basically exists as a governance team that oversees projects that are related to the Cloud Foundry PaaS tool as well. Some of the examples are Paketo build packs, open service brokers, and others that basically exist to complement Cloud Foundry PaaS.
Excellent. Now it's time for you to grab your crystal ball and share with us what predictions you have for 2022.
So my predictions, I guess, predictably focus on the PaaS world. In a nutshell, I believe pragmatism as a service is going to be the PaaS mantra for 2022. Let me share a few details. These predictions and observations basically come from taking a look at all of the innovation that's been happening in the technological front and also observing a lot of the undercurrents in the business world that span cloud technologies, infrastructure, and so on. Generally speaking, for teams that are working on a transition to Kubernetes, I predict that this year will see the resolution of some of the teething problems that they have as they adopt and some of the seething problems that will come as they hit their day two issues and other things. The PaaS tools, I believe, will bring a sophisticated experience to all programmers alike, irrespective of languages, irrespective of technologies, and ultimately will allow folks to maintain the required velocity and cut down on operational inefficiencies. Now, in that regard, prediction number one is the unifying and convergence of multi-cloud environments. Now, as we are starting to observe Kubernetes work very well for massive cloud-based deployments and also start to make inroads into the other end of the spectrum vis-a-vis IoT systems and edge and all of the other computing systems in the middle of the spectrum, the ability to work with Kubernetes should no longer remain a barrier to entry for software engineering teams. In fact, PaaS tools are in high demand because a lot of engineering teams are working on a DIY PaaS like system over Kubernetes. And so, teams shouldn't be struggling with configuring external DNS, with networking interfaces, with load balancers, with storage, with security, what have you, right? And so, ideally, in principle, all of these will come from PaaS systems. Consequently, one of the trickiest areas for these PaaS substrates over Kubernetes is multitenancy. And I believe that in the year 2020, we'll actually start seeing a lot of teams roll out very effective multitenancy over Kubernetes. A lot of good work has already been happening. KubeCon this year demonstrated folks from like a couple of different companies across the world working on effective multi-tenancy systems for Kubernetes. And I think 2022 will be the year that matures and the abstraction stops leaking, proverbially. Another area where I predict there will be a lot of improvement is with service brokers. Now, there's a lot of murmur, not just now, it has been in the past as well, about stateful applications migrating successfully to Kubernetes-based deployments. And so this is going to be the year again. I believe that the service broker experience is going to actually enable large-scale migrations and also provide a seamless way in which developers don't have to think about whether they're deploying a stateful app or a stateless app or how the transition will be and really wrangle around migration plans, but they should have an easy ramp up towards better service brokers that will allow them to handle stateful applications on Kubernetes as well. And speaking of the path from a developer's working environment to production, build packs, I believe, have a very key role to play. And that's my fourth prediction for the upcoming year. Now, it's not just going to be about adopting build packs, which I think has seen a tremendous amount of resurgence with platforms like DigitalOcean App Platform, with Azure, with Google Cloud, with a lot of folks actually starting to adopt build packs as the best foot forward in terms of getting apps to production. It's also going to open up in terms of allowing like a lot of customization to happen for the build packs experience. And right now, the trend is if there are new applications that people want to push, they're all using build packs very effectively. But if there are already applications that they're working with and existing and they're using like Docker based deployments and builds, they're going to start getting a good way and finding a nice path towards migrating to using build packs for existing applications as well. So those are the four main sort of technology based predictions that I have, which build up to my final prediction, which is PaaS has always been perceived as a tool where you can get a great start, but eventually as your app scales, your PaaS tool no longer suffices in terms of your application fit on your infrastructure. So a lot of people just say, oh, there's a point in future where we'll outgrow our PaaS. Now, I believe that with all of the innovations that we're going to see vis-a-vis build packs and open service brokers and just unifying Kubernetes well, PaaS is going to be not just a great place for technology teams to start, but also a great place for them to stay and continue to scale and secure their applications.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing these predictions. Now, if I ask you, what is going to be the focus for the foundation and the whole community in 2022?
So, as you probably know, and your audience does as well, 2021 was a year of rather massive change at the foundation. One of the key changes, especially in the positive trend of things, has been a newly appointed TOC and some updates to our governing board as well. And with that, we believe that there's going to be an increase in community participation. There's a lot of work that the TOC, there's a lot of good work that the TOC has put in to up the ante in terms of getting more community participation. And that we believe is going to be the key element that drives forward the way Cloud Foundry is perceived in the community. Now, we're going to see not just more participants, but also more participation. And we're going to keep the old projects alive while we work on more modern breakthroughs as well. And so I think this balance of the old and the new is going to be wonderful for the community in the year that's to come.
Ram, thank you so much for sharing not only these predictions, but also insights where the content community is heading. There was, of course, as you mentioned, there are a lot of transition going on. So there was some worries, but thanks for addressing those worries. And as usual, I would love to have you back on the show. Thank you.
Sure, Swapnil. Thank you very much.